Hello and welcome to another Java programming video. In this video I'm going to show you how we can read and write to text files. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going ahead and set up a basic class which I will use to write and read to a text file. Alright, so first of all I'm going to start by creating two strings. One of the strings will point to where the text file is located on my hard drive, and the other string will say the name of the file. So let's call the first one file path and set it equal to the path to the file. And I'm going to place the file inside of my project directory, which is C users blah blah blah. You can also go into one of the files located there and copy the path file here. So let's just paste it in, and you will need to change the backslashes to forward slashes, like this. And at the end of the line you want to type another forward slash, because otherwise it will treat it as the absolute path, and since basically it will treat it as the path is finished, there won't be any more information in it. And since we have no file called YouTube Java, it won't find anything. So the other string will be the name of the file, as I said. Let's call it file name and just set it equal to like my file.txt. And .txt is the text file format, so don't forget to include that. Alright, so let's create a write function first, and its purpose will be to write some kind of text to the text file. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to create a so-called file writer object. So let's go ahead and import it and set it to new file writer like this. And it's going to take basically the path file and the file name in its constructor. So let's just type out file path plus file name. So basically the value here will be like C users Linus YouTube Java and my file.txt. Let's remove that. Another thing you need to do is you need to surround it with try and catch statements, and which will allow us to handle certain error messages. For example, if we can't find the file, we can handle that, and if there's some kind of error reading the file, we can also handle that. So you need to do this. Alright, next up we're going to create a buffered writer, and this object is the one that is going to write to the file. So let's see, we need to import it. Buffered writer 1t. Let's call it writer equals to new buffered writer, and it takes the writer object, which is the file, and now we should just be able to write to it, hopefully. Writer dot write. So basically you just refer to your buffered writer object and then call the method write. And as you can see, you can put in an int like a number or a string as a message, and that is actually what we're going to do. We're going to type out hello world, this is read from a text file. We're going to read this in the next method that we create. You can call another method called let's see, new line, and basically it will just create a new line inside of the text file. So whatever message we type inside of this method is going to be displayed below the other one. Let's just type hi again or something like that, something stupid. Also, the last thing we need to do is we need to close the buffered writer. So basically you create a file writer object which takes the input, the file path and the file name, and after that you create the actual object that will write to the file, which is a buffered writer object, and you take the file writer object inside of the constructor, and then you just use the methods write and new line and etc. in order to store the information, and don't forget to close it. Alright, so what if you want to read from the file? Well, it's pretty easy to do it also. The object is called a file reader, let's create the file reader, and once again we need the path file and the file name. File path plus file name. Of course you could just add these two together inside of one string object already, but it is useful, for example, if you have multiple files inside of the same folder, since you can just type file path plus whatever file name you have, instead of specifying this whole address all the time. And so that's why I do it like this. And you need to import the file reader and then surround this one with a try and catch statement too, so you can handle certain errors. And it's pretty much the same. Instead you need to create a buffered reader. Let's call it reader equals new buffered reader, and it's going to take the file reader object in its constructor. So now we have the object which can read. So I'm going to create a string line object. So I've created a new string object which is a line, and basically it will keep track of whatever we read. So I'm going to create a while loop which is going to read the whole file basically. So basically how it works is that we are going to set our string line equals to the current line that we read inside of the text file. And so the line is going to be equal to reader.readLine, like this. And each time we do one iteration, one loop, we're going to check so it isn't equal to null. And when you read the end of the file, the line will be equal to null, and that way we can know when the file has ended. So we're going to check if it is equal to null all the time. If it's not, we're going to print out the message. And this one we need to handle another try statement. And we're going to do this, add to the surrounding try statement, I think it was called. So we can handle that too. Basically, if we get an error while we read the file, we can handle it here. And I can see here is another example of an exception that will be thrown when something happens. And in this case, the file not found exception will happen when we can't find file. So let's say the line is equal to something that we read, and we just simply want to display it. So let's just type out system.out.println println line like this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and create the file which we're going to use, and I'm going to call it what did we name it? I think my file. Yeah, my file with capital F. Like that. So that is our text document, and I've opened it up and you can see that it's currently empty. So I'm going to go ahead and close it, and I'm going to call the write method, and it have run now, so we should see if anything is stored. And it is, and as you can see, it is displayed exactly as we wanted it to. Hello world, this is read from a text file, then a new line, and hi again. And if we do this, type \n, which is short for a new line, and then read, and we run it, it should display read on the next site, on the next line. And yes, it does as you can see. So if you want to skip writing right to that new line all the time, you can just throw in a /n inside of it in order to switch the line. So let's go ahead and read the file. Let's see, we go over here. So the reason to why it didn't work in the reading is because the code looks like this. And basically right now we check if the file is empty, and then we print it out. But it should be the other way around. If the file is not empty, we are going to read it. So it should be a not equal to null over here, and it should work. Yeah. So at the moment we rewrite the text file all the time, remove the content, and then we write whatever we want inside of it. But if you want to keep the information, you can fix it easily. And when you create your file writer object, there is a second parameter you can use. If we take up the constructor here, you can see it also takes a file and a boolean, and a string and a boolean, which is what we're going to use. And the string is the file name and the file path, the same. And the second parameter is so-called append, and if it is set to true, we will keep on adding to the content, and if it's set to false, we will remove everything before we start writing. I'm going to show you when we set it to true. As you can see, the text increases. If I would run it once again, it will write it 3 times. And you can see inside of the folder, and inside of here, see that it is the same as the output, so it works. So basically this is how you can read and write to text files. Hopefully you found it useful. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. And thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. So hopefully I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.